what I want to say today is, if you find yourself taking the path of least resistance, you need to do a self-check and say, what do I need to be doing that's more productive than this? And it's like if you're just kind of wandering around the shop, you know, shooting the bull or getting off task and all that kind of thing.
Doing that kind of thing?
Woo! Yeah, so be really careful about that, because it's real easy to just hang around here, look up in the air with your mouth open all day and not get a doggone thing done. Ain't that right? Can I get a witness? No? Okay, all right. Be careful about that. You know, I'm not hounding you if I call you down. I just want you to make sure you stay on task and doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if I need to dump 400 worksheets on you, I can do that too. So. All right, so we got this one right here was a Mustang that was cutting up, bucking and jumping and all that kind of stuff. And we got started, and the odometer on this one registered enough miles because it was going around the planet 4 times, that 100,000 miles. And we don't really know how it died, it just came in on the hook. You know what I mean? So the Mustang comes in on the hook, and we had to do, you know, a little bit of vehicular forensics. Somebody had performed a brain transplant. They had done something to it, trying to fix it, which is what a lot of people will do when they're trying to fix one. First thing we noticed was it had an aftermarket engine controller plugged in and swinging by the wires. They didn't even mount the thing, they just plugged it in. You know, maybe it'll start and all that. When the key was switched on, the engine coolant fan ran all the time. And you might notice that on that one, on some of these cars out here, like well, for that Mercury Sable out there, if you unplug the engine controller, the fan kicks on and runs all the time with the engine controller unplugged. If you walk up there and the engine controller is running all the time, you might think the engine controller is either not powered up or it's unplugged or something like that. Got it? I mean, just keep that in mind. I've had ground do that too. So, this one right here, basically you got your constant control relay module. This is one of those earlier ones that they put all the relays in there so you couldn't change the relay, you had to change the whole module. And Ford started doing it years ago. That Escort set up like this out there. And who wrote that? Did y'all drive any today and get your act together on that?
Our speech teacher showed us up. She
came
started once and they got the next
She
time.
got it filled up and that time.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is
I'll be doggone. Who is she? What's her name?
Lawson.
Jacob Dawson.
Oh yeah, that was, Adam said that y'all, she was taking pictures of y'all down here, but anyway, I said, did she take pictures of the Escort? They said, no. But she got in and drove the car. All right, so I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, with the AC field coil, I mean, the AC clutch operates with that, the high electro drive fan relay, electro drive fan, EDF relay control. EDF stands for electro drive fan relay. That's just a quick look at that. No big deal on that. We connected the new generation star tester to it. That's back in the day. Went out under the hood, checked for codes, and pulled every DTC in the library related to automatic transmission faults. Whole bunch of automatic transmission codes. What would you think? Somebody's replaced the engine controller, and now we got a bunch of automatic transmission codes.
All the EC. Well,
It was a stick.
Huh?
Yep. It's a 5-speed, then it's throwing automatic transmission codes. I think somebody put the wrong PCM on it.
That's a trick question.
They just got a PCM from a Mustang without any, you know, thought for what it plugged into. Plugged in, maybe that'll get the car started and we can drive it with a check engine light on it. All right. PCM was ordered, the right one, came in the next day, and when the new brain box was put on, the Mustang fired up. Hey, this is great. Well, we ran a test run down the highway. It went well at first, but the hotter it got, the worse it ran. About 3,000 RPM, it's bucking and jumping and carrying on all over the place. We ain't done. We got it started. We ain't done. Sometimes you'll have the idea that whenever you get it started, you're done. It's kind of like Michael on the 350 over. He got it started at one time. Hey, all right, yeah, you know. But after that, you know, that's why you got to do it 4 or 5 times to make sure that you're really good at it. You know, it's just the way it is with everybody. You know, they had one guy out there wired up at 350. He didn't understand firing orders and all, although I thought he did. And he wired it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and somehow it started up. I don't know where he put one, but golly, I didn't know that was even possible. I mean, it didn't run worth it, but it started up. All right, the thick film ignition module and the signature PIP. PIP is Profile Ignition Pickup, is what that stands for. You might remember seeing a module like this on that board, and I got another one up there with a distributor on it like this, but the long and the short of it is, in order for the engine controller to identify which cylinder was which on this one, they used that sort of like a cam sensor, but it also used it to trigger when the injector would fire on this 5-liter Mustang. Now this one right here was the way that it was put on there originally. Whenever we first started seeing these TFI modules, you put some silicone dielectric grease on here and put it together, and this thing, it fires the module, it fires the coil, and so it creates a ton of heat. And so what you had to do was put something on there so it carry the heat out. Well, I felt like that's kind of running too hot because this stator right here reads off of this and triggered that and all that. And I used to have one that I had built, a module that I wired up so you could plug it in between the wire harness and that module and fire it up if the module was bad. I use that a lot of times. In order to change that stator, you had to take a gear off down there, and that was a little tricky if you hadn't done it before. Anyway, this is a closed bowl distributor, they call it. It basically got a, and there's one of those laying around here I saw the other day too, and I don't know where it is right now, but anyway, closed bowl distributor, the module is mounted remotely on a heat sink, right there like that, see? The heat sink actually kept it cooler. When you see them fins like that, it'll keep it cool. Alright, and that's what this one had a place for a module, but they didn't put one in it, they just let it be a closed bowl and hooked up that way. Alright, so like the PCM, we'd already replaced the TFI module with brand new and an unfamiliar aftermarket brand. Now I had been, might have been, they had replaced the distributor, cowpin, rotor, the spark plug wires were original and were properly routed. So they hadn't done that with the wires. And I think what happened originally was this thing started cutting up or started doing something, I don't know what. And they just started throwing parts at it. And that's usually, what somebody does when they think they're going to try to fix their own. I ran into trouble years ago when I would see one of these that was not the Motorcraft brand, and I didn't want to work on one for a long time and find out that that was a problem with it. So if I saw one that wasn't a Motorcraft brand, the first thing I would do is pull that off and put a Motorcraft on it. And about 50% of the time I'd fix it. Pick fill ignition module. Alright, so that's what I was talking about right there. Well, the TFI module was replaced, but it still bucked and jumped the same way it always did. Now with a warm engine, we found it was really easy to duplicate in a service bay. We could just rev it up right in our service bay and just start bucking and jumping right there. And no load, got the same sort of snoring, backfiring during the whole test. It only took a minute to pop the oscilloscope on there, and this is what we saw. Look at that. Firing lines 3 and 2 would disappear, and 7 would go high. Totally wacky. That's your secondary pattern. And you're basically getting all that. Kind of got to know what you're going to do there. So at idle, it looked just fine, but as soon as you start cranking the throttle, and it did that, fire and order, what's 5 liter, 137265548. Say that. 137265548. Could you say that? 137265548. That's the same as the Bronco. 137265548. That's the firing order. At first, the spike for 3 and 7 would distort while the misfire was underway, but as speed increased, the pattern became even more interesting. So you wind up with this crazy stuff going on here. So we began losing cylinders 3 and 2 altogether at 3,000, and at the same time those cylinders were gone. Cylinder number 7 would have this big spike on it. Now, what that means? We're tracking down data to start with. We went and tracked, we got rid of the parts that we felt like might have been a problem that had already been done, trying to undo what they were already did. So we got to decide when we start gathering data, I guess, what does it mean? Where does that signal come from? I saw a problem, I guess, one time several years ago. There was a tempo that Body Shop works on. And from Tempo came out in 1983, I guess, or 84. Anyway, when I was working at the Lincoln dealer and Tempo Topaz. And in 1992, they did away, they had signature PIP, which means one of the little windows in that thing was narrower than the other one. Look over there behind you. One of those boards in there has got a distributor on it. I want you to bring me that distributor board. That board with a distributor on it. That looks like it, yeah. No, that's not a distributor. There's no distributor on that board. I need a board with a distributor on it. That may be it right down there. Yeah, bring it to me. So one of those little narrower windows was supposed to tell it, where what position the engine was in. Now you can actually wire this one up and make it fire the coil. This little board I put together. All right, now this right here is what I'm talking about. That's the TFI module. That's the signature PIP right there. See? Now you might notice as you look at that, one of those was narrower than the rest of them. Okay, so what happened was the Body Shop got a tempo in there, and when it had been hitting the front, it broke the distributor. So they got a distributor from Fred Jones remanufactured folks out of the parts room, just popped it in there, and when you give it the gas, it would drop cylinder number 3. Well, what I found out was, in the 92 model, and I knew this, they put a cam position sensor in there and did away with signature PIP. And on that one, all of these were the same. The windows were all the same. It didn't have a narrower one on there. And it was confusing the module, which was expected to see all the windows the same size. And when I saw one of them was narrower, instead of being like it should have been, all I had to do to fix that was change out that little cup. On that particular one, you could do that. Just take the screws out, put the right cup on it from the old distributor. Take care of that. Anyway, so I started thinking in that direction. You know, you can always do your experience, and this is what happened, you know, you can use that one there, 1342. These are gonna be in the order of the firing order. All right, so your profile ignition pickup is gonna go between, you see this little thing right here? See that little deal? That's going between, there's a magnet. When it shunts that magnetic field away from that Hall effect sensor, it causes a square wave. And the PCM uses that to determine how often to fire the injectors, and then it modifies that pulse with all of these other, you know, your coolant and all that stuff. All right, so long and short of it was, you got 12 volts from battery going to that, signal returns through the processor, profile ignition pickup. That must be the, somebody's making, oh, he's not working on that door, okay. All right, see that signal right there? That square wave signal, that's what it's supposed to do. All right, 92 to 94, the narrowed segment, see they're different from up to 91.
So that square wave signal comes from the magnetic.
Yeah, that magnetic field, whenever it shunts that magnetic field, it's basically gonna send a signal out on this wire right here, and that goes to the engine controller, and the engine controller uses it to tell it how often to fire the injector. Because when the engine's running slow, the injector is gonna click, 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 and it speed up, it goes click, 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 they go faster, you know. All right, so that was what happened on that one. I've already described all that. Well, at tempo, and then we had this here in sparkle cylinder number 3, like we were seeing here. I'm thinking something's going on with that. It has to be. That's all there is to it. All right, now this right here, IDM is ignition diagnostic monitor. What that basically is a feed through a resistor back to the computer, so the computer can tell when everything's working like it's supposed to. So you see the fire coming back. It's like seemed like that resistor was, I don't remember what it was, 18,000 ohms or something. Spout, spark output from the computer. You got all them things up there. So spout and tip look real similar. Spout's what you unplug. That's that thing you unplug on the Bronco when you're setting the timing, because it takes the computer out of the loop, so it doesn't change the timing while you're adjusting it. And anyway, that's a PIP is profile ignition pickup. All right, now secondary scope pattern remain normal at idle, though it's snaggletooth. Now here's another thing. Measuring center electrodes. Measure the spark plug gap. You know, I did this right here. Most out of range spark plugs. That one's too low. It shouldn't be just 200 ohms. It ought to be like, you know, 3 to 8,000 or something like that, unless it's a champion spark plug. It may be anywhere from 2 to 17,000 in the same set of plugs. This is a little thing from the Ford. I was already doing that before anybody else I knew was, and then I saw this at the Ford Training Center. It said to measure it, it's not supposed to be over 8,000 ohms. That's a misfire on the IDS, and this was on one that I worked on there. That 200 ohm spark plug, I said, well, I'm just going to throw the spark plug in and had a call, took care of that. Well, the Mustang's plugs measure about 3,500. With the plugs reinstalled and the plug wire route and recheck for possible parallel induction. You know what parallel induction crossfire is? Whenever you've got 2 spark plug wires that are next to each other on the cap and 2 next to each other on the engine, I mean, they're the same 2, if you run them side by side all the way down, one of them, the one that fires before the other, will induce a spark in the wire that hadn't fired yet, and it'll fire that plug early, and it'll make it ping and misfire and all that kind of stuff. So what you got to do is you got to make sure the other wires are between them when you route them down there. You got that? All right. Number 3 tower was going dead and dark at 3,000 RPM. So this is not a good photo. Well, here's what we had on our pattern. You notice when we looked at our pattern, it should have been square wave just like all the way across. We were losing one. Basically on that scope pattern produced by the PIP, measured by the distributor on pin 4. All right, set up a nice square wave. We noticed one wave was suddenly becoming twice as wide where we were missing a switch, and we were closing in on our problem here. Now look at this. Doggone it, if we didn't have on the inside of that little cup there, we can see where it had been hitting. All right. So we looked at the Hall effect magnet and the aftermarket parts. This one right here, see how screwed up that was? This is what it's supposed to look like. That was the one we put in there to replace this one. That right there, hitting that was what was causing that whole thing. And that's something to kind of hide from you, if you know what I mean. All right, so the washer around the base of some spark plugs is there. It's just questions now. Questions? Questions? I need somebody to answer that. The washer around the base of some spark plugs is there for the primary purpose of what?
It keeps the compression.
How many A's do I have? 1, 2, 3. How many B's have I got? 1, 2. The B's are right. The B's have it. How many didn't give me nothing? Ignition 8 says pulling the spark plug wires one at a time to find a weak cylinder can damage some ignition modules. Technician B says it makes more sense to kill the cylinders one at a time by unplugging the injectors one at a time if possible. Who's correct about that?
Well, B is correct.
B.
So, yeah, so it's either
A is
B
right,
or C.
B is right. That's both of them.
It's both,
All right, you got
Computer,
that?
right?
Now think about this. What if this is your final one? You know the answer? All right. Which sensor or circuit is not checked continuously in an OBD system? You got continuous monitors, you got non-continuous monitors. Which one of these is not checked all the time, is only checked part of the time? PP sensor, map sensor, ECT sensor, or O2 sensor heaters? Now the ones that are non-continuous have to be checked when certain criteria are met. That way, like your catalyst efficiency monitor, your fuel system monitor, your evaporative monitor, certain conditions have to be met before they can check. Like the evaporative monitor won't run unless it's between 15 and 85% fuel level. Somebody that runs empty on their vehicle all the time, or wide open full, ain't never gonna, find a evaporative problem. O2 sensor heaters. On some of your Jeeps, they turn the thing on in the middle of the night and check it while you're sleeping. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? I saw your Jeep is sitting there, says, I see that Dakota has finally put his head on his pillow and he's asleep. So I'm gonna wake up and check my O2 sensor heater. Like that. High voltage is created in the ignition coil by doing what? Which one? A, magnetic induction. Did everybody get that? Everybody gonna remember that? If I throw this test at you tomorrow, you're gonna remember it. Or if I throw one at you with similar questions and it all mixed up. Fire and order of a particular V6 engine is 1, 4, 2, 3, 6. Which cylinder is the companion for cylinder number 4?
3.
How do you know? I'm not disputing, I'm just saying, how do you know?
If it's on the opposite side.
It's over two. Like yesterday, you said it was at the, you know how, well, I can't explain it.
If you draw a distributor cap
Oh, yeah.
and you write them on there, it's gonna be the one right across from it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, that's it right there.
I don't know how to do it.
Nick is
That's
quick
what I
enough
said,
for
like,
math
it's
to where you
across
gonna miss
from
that, huh?
I said it was across from it.
Yeah, well, well, across from it, if you had a round distributor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ceramic zirconia oxygen sensors don't work until what?
They read 600.
600 degrees. What about the other ones, the air fuel
Like
sensors?
250.
No, they're 1400 degrees. They gotta get a lot hotter. You hadn't got to that in your engine performance electric yet?
Yeah, that's how I knew the 600. I don't remember. reading
Well, I mean,
that.
if you get to the other ones, the farther, wide band,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which of the following would not be considered a computer input?
What do you mean by computer? Like schedule?
The computer's looking at it, getting something from it.
Yeah, man, they're supposed to be on that.
What about the EGR vent solenoid? That's an output. The EGR vent solenoid ain't gonna tell you nothing. It's gonna do something when you tell it to, right? You gotta think inputs and outputs, man. It's like a computer, Outer air control system on most CF5 vehicles controls valve speed by doing what? B, that's right. Technician A says an unmetered air leak, like a cracked air inlet hose, will drive a mass airflow system rich because the mass airflow isn't measuring all the incoming air. Color that unmetered air. Technician B says the O2 sensor input can lead and cause the PCM to drive the entire system rich if one cylinder is misfiring. In other words, if a cylinder starts to misfire, which way is the oxygen sensor going to go?
B.
Is it going to go rich or is it going to go lean? Huh?
They go lean.
Why is it going to lean?
Because it's getting like a higher.
Some people get confused on that. They'll say it's going to go rich because it smells the gas. Well, the oxygen sensor couldn't care less about the gas. It smells oxygen. But if you got a cylinder that ain't burning, it's going to have oxygen going out here. The fuel can go on by. The O2 sensor couldn't care less about that. You got that? All right. So anyway, so who's right about that? This one right here is not going to drive it rich. It's going to drive it lean. Doesn't know as much of there. It's not going to put as much fuel, right? And this one right here, O2 sensor can read lean. If it's misfiring, it can start reading lean, but it will ultimately, if the fuel trim goes up because it's reading lean, it can drive everybody rich, right?
So.
All right, technician A says CO emissions come from 2 rich air fuel mixtures. Technician B says HC emissions come from 2 rich air fuel mixtures. Who's correct? and
It is, right? I
both
know.
of them are right.
Yeah.
HC and CO come from too rich. Every oxygen sensor, every hydrocarbon molecule wants to get married to two oxygen sensor molecules. If there's not enough oxygen sensor molecules, then every hydrocarbon molecule only gets one. That's carbon monoxide. If there's enough hydrocarbons and not enough oxygen so that some of the hydrocarbon molecules don't get none, and you got hydrocarbons coming out of there. You got that? So CO, rich exhaust. HC, very rich exhaust. Black smoke, soot, HC. You got that? You get that? Now, whenever I put you guys out there to do the ASC student certification test, are you gonna bomb on it?
Yep, 'cause
You better not, that's all I gotta say, because I've been hammering you, man. You should be
I'm
doing
getting them, but I mean, these questions, these AEC style questions get me.
Huh? Are they jerking you around? You gotta be ready to list, define, explain, describe.
Well, and then I be breaking it down. Like you heard me up here, I was like, okay, I know B is right.
You're thinking
but
clear, you're thinking clearly and all that.
I don't know about the other one,
Yeah.
and I be seeing the answers.
Yep.
I can't eliminate.
Yep.